Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis, A Third Horizon rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, graphic scenes, and violence are likely on the menu. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am normally your keeper Michael, but in today's episode, I will be simply your storyteller and perhaps your, the speaker of icons, as it were. In our game of Coriolis, Ship on the Edge of Forever, we are rejoining the crew of the Kraken. And so we will get to introductions, and then we need to pick up right about where we just left off, where the ship was coming to life in all sorts of ways. So, starting us out to my right.
Hi, I'm Miranda, and I am playing Zebo, the engineer of the crew, and I'm regretting getting the ship up and running.
Well, I mean, with any gamble of life, there is always the potential for regret, right?
This is true.
All right. To Zebo's right.
I am Allie, and I am playing Nima the pilot, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to like what happens next.
I mean, it's always possible, right? You have that inner peace that comes with the hard work, hard and steady, sometimes silent servitude is necessary that the deckhand requires. But now that things are moving a little faster, you might have to be way more fleet of foot. Next to Nima.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dave, and I'm playing Rue today. You may know me from such self-help films as Miskatonic University Podcast and the Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition scenario, Sunspots. Rue is a soldier and a gunner and sees herself as the actual leader of the team.
And then rounding us out, last but most certainly not least.
This is Tiffany, and I am playing Dr. Wana, and these plants. Something's got to happen. I'll burn them down.
I'm sure it'll all get figured out in the end. So we rejoin the crew of the Kraken as they had made their way onto a colony ship that seemingly had landed, perhaps crash landed, on a distant planet's surface. And after a series of attempts to gain entry to the colony ship, the crew of the Kraken had made its way into the cargo bay area and had searched around and found that not only had the ship gone completely dark, but it seemingly has been overrun by local vegetation and plant life, some of which is extremely thick and resilient. Several blooms of flowers adorned the corners and the vines themselves, and with the hard work of Zebo, had managed to get not only the auxiliary batteries fired up for emergency lighting, but the main batteries of the colony ship back working. It's at this point, as the full lights came on, that Dr. Wana and Rue, as they were exiting one of the inventory space in the cargo bay, saw life itself bloom back on that cargo bay floor. And the walls are filled now with a multicolored bloom of plant life. And in this light, you can all see the light scurrying of small lizards, anywhere from 4 inches long to maybe as long as 8 or 9. It is the first full life sign that you have of any sort of reptilian make. But they scurry deeper into the darkness that is here. What little the vines and the plant life offer. And so, how are you all reacting?
Yeah, Rue shouts, "Shut it back down! Turn off the lights!"
You hear frantic clicking.
Is there anything that shows that it's a danger to us, or it's just that the plants are going to keep growing?
Well, it's hard to say, Doctor. From your immediate response, you're only getting just what your visual and auditory cues will bring in. Those of you who are not wearing breathing masks smell a sort of different scent begin to mingle in the air here, a much heavier pollen. And Zebo, as you're scrambling to try to shut the main batteries down, you realize instantly as you go to shut them down that you're going to have to get past a prompt that requires the ship to go through a power down procedure. That'll take 10 minutes to fully do.
It's going to take a while, Cap. 10 minutes to power down.
Can't you just turn off the lights?
I'm trying to turn off the lights. It's not that easy.
You can, if you're just targeting the cargo bay itself, it's a simple wits technology roll to get them turned off.
Okay.
But to kill power again, it's a way longer form.
I'm fine with just getting the lights off.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, shut the lights off.
So you say simple wits technology roll, but
yeah,
these have not been simple.
Listen, I'm sure the gambler will be just fine
We'll
to help
see.
you out this time. Or will he?
One success, so.
All right. So as you go through the procedures and you shut the power down to the main lights, do you reserve any power for emergency lighting?
I would keep auxiliary lights on.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it sounded like they didn't start to bloom until the main lights were on. So if we can keep the emergency lighting or auxiliary lighting on, I'd start there so we can at least see a bit, but not enough that these plants are feeding off the light.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess for Rue's part, especially when Zebo shuts the lights down, it doesn't alleviate your concern at all. It's not like the blooms go away.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't wilt. They stay out. And you can tell now, even with the ones that are just within, say, maybe 3 to 5 meters of you, you can see that there's a dust coming out of them. Like when they bloomed, there's some sort of pollen that they're giving off.
Into her comlink, she says, if you've got a rebreather, get it on now. If you don't, I need you to find one.
I'll put mine on.
Yeah, I'm definitely putting my rebreather on.
I am very distinctly aware that I don't have my exoshell.
Yep.
Can I find a rebreather somewhere around near me? Is there one on the wall or something?
Yeah, or where I am in the storage closet, anything like that?
I'm going to say that Rue is probably pretty cognizant of the fact that Zebo doesn't have the exosuit, so you would immediately probably know, oh, right, yep, we're definitely going to need one for Zebo. Grabbing one is just not hard at all.
I point at Doctor and just say, don't go anywhere. And I run it back, Zebo.
Okay. So you probably feel a sense of calm as you get that purer oxygen. Mm-hmm. And you suddenly, all of you, those of you who have been exposed to the ship air here, you definitely feel the difference in your lungs when that kind of curated air begins to circulate through you. And so I know that Zebo did not have one on, and I know that Nima did not have one on. I would like the two of you, once you put your rebreathers on, I would like you to make me a strength roll.
Ooh.
Not to put them on.
Okay.
All right. Oh, praise be to the gambler. Not this day.
I got one.
Okay, so it's a new session. So if you would like to potentially beseech the gambler, you could.
For the rules, we can do that at like any point, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not a once per game deal.
As far as I'm aware.
Yes. I would like a reroll with my praise be to the gambler. Sometimes the first time doesn't work and you have to take a risk. A gamble, some would say. Okay, 2 successes.
Okay, so both of you... Oh, wait, hang on one second. Nima, did you have a breather on originally?
No. I
okay,
had one with me, but I hadn't put it on yet.
But not on. Right.
And
so go ahead and make me a strength roll if you haven't.
I already did. It's 1 success.
Okay. So everyone has at least one, which is good. So all of you who, well, I guess everyone except Rue for that matter, you begin coughing really hard. as soon as that filtrated oxygen hits your lungs. And it forces you to evacuate some phlegm from your lungs specifically. And so each of you kind of in turn over the next 20 to maybe 30 seconds, rip the mask up just a little bit to expel what's ever in your mouth. And you spit out something that is viscous and green, and it has little specks of black in it.
That can't be good.
Can I inspect it to see what it's made of, what it is, if it's living, if it's just a contaminant?
Yeah, go ahead. That's a science roll for sure.
So 2.
Okay. So you kneel down kind of in your in the space you're at after Rue had gone and directed this rebreather to Zeebo. And you begin to scan the particulates here in this phlegm. And your body has had a pretty adverse reaction to this, what you assume is pollen.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like inside of you, like inside the phlegm here, like it may have tried to attach itself to you, almost like a viral agent. But your lungs feel way clearer than they were. And these black spots here aren't any sort of carcinogenic or additional issue. They're actually what look like pieces of respiratory tissue that when they came out have essentially gone necrotic.
I'm gonna scrape up some of it and keep it, I have probably slides in my med kit or whatever.
Yeah, you have a container that you can easily put some in.
I think I have a portable laboratory too or whatever.
Yeah, you have basically a really big medical bag that you could take devices out and beakers and whatnot and solutions if necessary.
Under no circumstances are we to take these off again at all. It looks like these flowers were trying to basically turn us into more flowers. And it seems like the oxygen, the pure oxygen, is what has caused us to expel it and alleviate us from being infected.
Now, you all hear that over the comlink.
Rue is now looking more closely at some of these trees, right? All this work, right? I don't know if we've all come back. I'm not going to move anyone's figures, but I don't know if we're sort of all back in this bay. But her hypothesis is now that after the doctor reads this out to us, is the end state, and she's not a scientist at all, but is the end state that we sprout plants, and is that where the colonists went? And that's sort of her, check sanity moment. and she's looking for any evidence of that from these plants, torn clothes, right? Maybe all the bodies are gone, but are there, torn fragments of clothes or any evidence of uniforms or anything within the plants? She's got a rifle, trained on these plants and looking through them.
Sure. Why don't Brew give me, I suppose, an observation roll? That's probably, you'll have to do close inspection of the vines to get that answer.
Yeah, observation. No, but sure, she will pray to the icons just because it's that sort of day. She's looking at it and she's feeling this revulsion and feeling this overwhelm, and she's not seeing anything. And she says her silent prayer to the judge, what are we facing here? You must even the playing field with us, right? You must give us a fair chance. And I'll roll again. Yes, 1 success.
Okay. So you, for your part and for your icon, it isn't a matter of asking for assistance. No, it's demanding the balance that exists.
Right.
And to this point, the scale has been tipped terribly away. And more spiritually, you're pounding the table to see that balance shift back. And that's really when your eyes are brought to and then fixate on a tiniest scrap of clothing that has been interwoven between this vine.
Mm-hmm.
and you see an emblem on it, and you see the designating numbers, letters, and then eventual name of the colony ship Periphery.
Eyes wide, Doctor, and she gestures. Look.
And do I see the clothing piece?
Oh, yeah. You have to lift a few leaves and push one of these petal blooms out of the way, but there it is.
Let's everybody make sure that every part of your skin, everything is covered just to be safe. We need to hurry up, get to the bridge, download the information so that we can get off this planet as fast as possible. We need to make sure that we can gather all information so we do not try to come back and colonize here.
Is there any evidence of, we talked about campfires and the like, any evidence of incinerators, for lack of a better term? Any other tool that I can use? I'm feeling a little bit ill-prepared with my Legionnaire's rifle.
Yeah, absolutely. You had seen evidence of these tools in the inventory room, but you're fairly certain that any canisters that they might use for deep abrasive work or like welding, ship welding, if it needed to be done, you didn't see any fuel canisters for them.
My character sheet says that I have a power sledge.
Yep.
Is that a tool I probably would have brought with me?
I think it's reasonable to say that you would have brought some sort of, if nothing else, to knock a few pieces of ship equipment back together so they work.
Uh-huh. Okay. Just making sure.
I'm going to go around and pass everybody gloves if they don't already have some.
My guess is they all do, actually.
Okay, with their suits.
I mean, the Rue is going to have them because they're going to want to make sure that when they're handling weapons, nothing slips, right?
She's a professional.
Right. Nima is going to have them because it's likely that as a pilot, they keep a hold of multiple yoke sticks and they're just going to have them. And as Zebo, as somebody as a ship worker, would 100, definitely have them.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell everybody to make sure that their gloves and their sleeves overlap. Let's try and not make direct contact with these plants if we can help it. And tuck your pants into your boots.
Does the lift elevator work now that the power's on?
Well, we haven't tested it yet, so you'd have to go over and see.
My thought would probably be no. It's probably all clogged.
Yeah, but I'll test it anyway. I'll push the button and wait, and then I'll push it 5 more times.
You push the first door, which opens and eventually allows you access to the inner hallway where the elevator is, right? So you are actually able to step in, and you can see there that the elevator's here, and it's actually at this floor level. So you tap the elevator button, and it lights up. It seems to almost flicker for a moment. In fact, this entire corridor flickers for a moment.
All 4 of us should come together. We shouldn't split up, and then she'll eye the ladder.
Okay. Yeah, there's deep vegetation here in these pockets. It looks like wherever there's a definitive corner, at least on this level for you, Rue, you can see that the vegetation is thicker.
Come on, Zebo. Let's all make it to the bridge so we can get out of here.
You got it, Cap.
Yeah, Rue will lead the way. She's got a knife. She'll shoulder her rifle and pull out a knife, and just stabbing, like kind of cutting away. It's not a machete, obviously, but like just like stabbing. I presume that these vines, I can see a picture of them, not quite blocking the way, but covering the way up.
Yeah.
And like, so she just plants the blade, like just right into the big thick vine. Does that elicit any response?
I mean, you damage the vine for sure. Your knife is exceedingly effective.
Yeah. But they don't respond in any way, and there's no like active. Okay. Well, then she'll kind of hack a little bit, but she's not going to spend too much time. Just if there's something like legitimately in the way, she'll cut it away. But otherwise, sort of like, I guess she's not going to put it in her mouth. She'll have to keep it in her hand. And she's kind of doing that. One hand on the knife, doing 2 feet and Is
Mhm.
is it tight? Can she lean up against and climb this and kind of hack away, or does she need both hands to climb the ladder?
So the nice part about this ladder specifically is that it's fairly wide. And so she could, if she wanted to, she could lean herself against the rail, the outer rail itself, and kind of clear a bit as she goes. They don't completely obscure the stairway.
Yeah.
But they do obscure probably the first meter or so up.
Yeah, she'll just kind of hack and go.
And you're all following Rue up.
Yes.
Yep, and once again, last in line to make sure that nothing's gonna follow us up.
I mean, what would ever do that?
No.
Well, actually, I do, but that's okay. So just exiting out on this floor, there's a couple things that you guys see directly. To your left, and that would be for sure Rue first, you're going to see this four-way cross-section, this hallway, that intersection, and it's filled with a very kind of dark mass of plant life. So all of the flowers here are super dark. And the vines themselves have grown up around at all of the 90-degree parts of this intersection. The vines are thick and dark, and they've crawled up the ceiling and are now like creating their own canopy in this space as well. To the right, Rue, about maybe probably the extent of your light, which is roughly, I'd say 5 meters or so. You can tell that the plant life continues on this deck south back towards the engines. So for Zebo, as you get up here, the thing that you would know as far as the colony ship goes, if your memory is correct, laboratories and then the main portion of the engine bay is going to be all the way south, right? The main portion, like where the actual physical portions of the engines are. And then north is going to be essentially where all the crew would sleep at.
Do I think that there would be access to the data that we need from any of the computers in the main engine bay?
It's possible. The main engine bay might also serve as a backup command structure if the cockpit or the command area was damaged. You could check it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are we closer to the front or the rear of the ship, fore or aft?
You're far closer to the front than you are the back.
All right, I'll head to the fore.
I know, I'm just thinking more like if we, attack this at 2 points, then maybe we'll get to it faster.
You might.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to take that gamble?
I don't know. I might put it up to the team. If someone wanted to, I think I might be able to access the data from the main engine bay. If anyone's interested in checking that out.
Does it look like the main engine bay would be less cluttered? Is that what we see?
It's hard to tell. You haven't really been down that hallway yet.
But it's closer than the bridge, though, right?
No, technically speaking, the bridge is fairly close. If you go to the ladder system directly across from you, it should lead to the upper portion of the ship. It's just not knowing what's up there, obviously.
Right.
Oh, okay. So the bridge might even be one deck up.
Yeah, it would be. The main bridge
And
is going to be one deck
does
up.
it seem like it's getting more congested with plants the further up we go?
Just for your own visual sake, this deck, just in the corridors that you see,
Mm-hmm.
is probably twice as dense as the cargo area was.
Okay.
So, Doctor, you would also know that aboard a colony ship like this, on this level is where the laboratories would be too.
Right. So would that mean more people or maybe more specimens?
Potentially both.
Okay.
I say we go up another deck.
Yeah, I think it'd be safer than trying to wander around when we don't know these decks as well as our own ship.
All right. Well, you're the captain. So
If we go up one more level, we should be fairly close to the bridge.
Then let's get going.
Here's what I would like. This vegetation, especially on the second stairway, is really dense. It has packed not only the entire stairway walls, but it has covered the stairs, and it is now intermingled between the railing and portions of the bulkheads as you go up. And so it will require some
Agility.
definitive work. Yeah. And agility to get through.
Oh, path of least resistance might be the engine bay. Just saying.
And you'll all be at a 1 die disadvantage for doing so because of the thickness, as it were.
I'll look at the doctor. It's pretty thick up here. You want to keep going?
We know that this is really thick. I guess it wouldn't be harmful. Well, hold on. I need to confer with Mike.
Yes, confer.
Do I think that I could get the same information if we got it from the engine bay than if we got it from the deck? Or the bridge, sorry.
You're not sure. Your concern is, especially with the information that the doctor's looking for, it's likely held under security protocol, which is only going to be accessible from the captain's terminal.
Okay. I think we're going to still have to make it to the bridge. We're still going to need to go to the bridge because there's likely going to be security protocols that I'm going to have to unlock to make sure that we get all information about all plant life, so that if we do decide that we're going to colonize this later, that the same fate doesn't befall anybody else. Make sure that we have all the information that we need.
Okay.
All right, so back at it then. Force, you said? -1?
Yeah, force for this. And so before you roll, if this is a collective effort with the crew together, then anyone who has the force skill can add a die to it.
Yeah, it feels like we should do it together and add it, pool all of our work and kind of get into it. So is it one roll and then everyone adds, if they have the force skill, adds a support?
Yep, absolutely.
So I've got a 6. I've got force and strength. So I've got 6 total. It would be 5. And then do people want to add on to that? Does that feel right? Does anybody else have the force?
I had to default to agility.
Strength? Or
strength.
Does anybody else have the force skill?
Negative.
I do.
Other than Rue? Okay. So then probably we want to do that just because we have the chance of more collective failures. So let's just do the 7 dice. Can I throw in a prayer to the judge now and get an extra bonus?
You may.
The judge is a fickle one. The icons are here, but barely. I got 1 success.
Okay. So you spend some time cutting away at the vines. It's not a Sisyphus experiment by any means. You are making progress. But as you cut away at these vines up the stairway, those of you who are around assisting with it especially, which is just Sibo, but those of you who are looking beyond that to the doctor and to Nima can see that the two of them are being covered in this pollen as blooms far above can begin to just eject their pollen out. And they kind of get covered in this little, almost powdery, almost like powdered sugar, except that it's pink or it's blue or it's green. There's all these wonderful colors to it. And so the clothing on Zibo and on Rue begins to almost get a wash in these colors of pollen.
Do I know if there's any wash stations or anything like that on our way?
There's obviously refresher closets and stuff like that in each deck. So it might be something you want to stop by.
Okay. Yeah, as we're going up, I will say, once we get up there, everybody needs to go rush in and clean off. Get all of this pollen off of you.
So it probably takes the two of you about 5 minutes to cut your way up to the first landing. And then you have to go up to the second. And while we'll shelve any necessary rolls at this point for it, you get a little tired cutting away at this stuff. But between cutting it and ripping it, the two of you kind of get into a rhythm where Rue cuts 3 or 4 specific vines and then Zibo yanks really hard to pull them out. You're kind of collecting this matting of plant matter along the way and either shoving it over the railing or whatnot. But you make progress and eventually can see the emergency lights on the top deck through a rather thick veil of vegetation.
Keep hacking, keep pushing.
Yeah. In doing so, you breach that third deck. So there's something very significant here, Captain, that you see kind of up ahead. But Rue and Zebo are going to run into it first. And that is a very significant barrier that sits outside the plant matter. So what you see here, there is this massive container that's been placed in the way, barricaded. And this is something that immediately in your mind, Rue, triggers a memory of having been in a contained firefight on a distant planet and having to barricade yourself behind a structure, waiting for a tactical team to hit your landing zone point. This was taken and set up probably in a little bit of a rushed manner. You can see also that at certain corner points, it's been bent to fit the hallway, as if someone moved it into position and then forced it by probably banging against it to make sure that nothing could get further into the hallway.
This is a barrier, you said? The
structure itself, this barrier is what appears to be a couple of bed containers. So in ships, they're slabs, right? So someone has taken them off the wall and basically wrenched them into position, one on top of another, to create a makeshift wall.
Yep. And is it firm? That's not the word I'm looking for, but it is still whole.
Yes, absolutely. It does not appear to have been breached by the vegetation, which has kind of collected and massed along the edges.
Any signs of life past it?
Well, that's the thing, interestingly enough. And that is that you can't see past it because it goes all the way from floor to ceiling.
She'll nudge it with her foot and kind of just lean into it just a smidge.
It's movable probably with the right amount of force. It's possible that these vining plants or whatever they are just can't put out enough immediate force. Maybe they're building up here at the corners, should have to do it over time.
Right. She'll bang on it with the butt of her rifle. I presume it's metal like that. Does it resound or is it? Yeah. And I don't know if there's an open channel or anything like that. She's not going to pull out her rebreather, so she'll just kind of bang on it. Because shouting doesn't do any good, I'm presuming.
It does not, no. You're going to need something heavy and pretty forceful to separate the top from the bottom and breach this hall. Or possibly explosives.
Yes. Yeah. It's always an option. You can always blow shit up.
Well, yeah. I don't have any.
I mean, I do happen to have a power sledge.
Ooh. Taps chin.
If that's something that Zebo would like to attempt
to power sledge, I would love to attempt to power sledge.
Yes, of course. So go ahead and put the hammer down, as it were.
Yeah, what do I roll? What do I roll to power sledge?
So Zebo would roll melee combat, which is a strength link skill. So it would be strength plus melee combat. And then your power sledge does 4 damage, and it needs 3 successes to crit. So yeah, that's what you roll.
2 successes.
Okay, so you don't crit, but I would guess I would ask left or right. What is your preference?
I guess left.
Okay, so you turn a little bit to the left, and then you all see Zebo pull out this sledge, which you've seen Zebo use on numerous occasions to get hyperactive equipment to settle down or to maybe hold, potential documents in place as necessary. But when Zebo swings it back and fires it forward on an arc, they hammer the lower left corner of this barrier here. And when they do, there's a definitive wrenching sound from the metal, and it shifts ever so slightly, probably a good 10 or 15 degrees. And it's at that point, Rue, given your position to the right of Zebo, you can see just the bit of daylight between the grass and the barrier. And the halls beyond that, which are being lit by emergency light, do not reveal any plant matter inside them.
I share this observation with the crew and say, hit it again.
Can do. Would you like me to roll again, Mike?
Yeah, why not?
Using these. One success.
Okay. So you hammer it again, and with the third success on such a trial, you've hammered it open enough that either I'm going to say, just by looking at the character art, I'm going to say that Rue could probably make their way deeper in, especially because she's of the group. Rue is probably the most flexible in that regard.
Yeah, she'll squeeze through, try to, gain command over the other side of the breach.
Yeah, it's difficult, but not so much that you need to roll dice necessarily to do it with, given your agility.
How far from where we're at are the refresher rooms?
You would know that they are likely on the. If you continue to go left, if Rue continues to go down this pathway, they should bisect that hallway. There should be a large one and then a small one, but not far.
Remember, everybody, on the left, we need to go to those refresher rooms. If there is no plant life in this area, we do not want to contaminate it any further. It may be the safest spot we have right now.
Roger. Looking around, any sign of life?
No, not in the immediate area. How far are you going? That's my question.
Not too far. I presume that either they're going to come through or she's got to hammer it again. So I'm just covering the space and stepping down, I don't know, maybe 10 feet. I don't know what that looks like on the map.
Yeah, so you step down about that. Yeah, about that far.
Okay.
So, Zebo, I suppose if you're going to continue, we won't need the dice roll for it.
Okay.
But if you spend another 2 or 3 whacks at this thing, you'll turn it to the point where it will move about in this position, which would allow the rest of the crew to get in.
Yeah, that's what I'll go for.
Okay.
I would also suggest that if this was blocking to keep something out, if it is at all possible to move it back into position, we should, just to watch our backs.
Power Sledge is good at pushing more than pulling things back.
Yeah, you're fairly certain, Zebo, that now that it's been banged into a very specific position with this hammer, it's probably not going to be a very useful barrier anymore.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Cap.
We got to do what we got to do. I was
Let's move
just,
fast.
hoping.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The team moves deeper in, and as they do, true enough, Doctor, you see on your position there, not far from where Rue's going to end up shortly, there's a large unit for refreshing, and then to its left, or to your right immediately, there's a smaller one. So you could fit into these tiny little areas here and wash yourselves.
Yeah, I'm gonna point to the different areas, and everybody, get all this pollen off of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So doing that takes maybe just a couple of minutes. Really, it's more about like getting into the crevices, especially like behind the ears.
In your ear, up your nose. Well, not up our noses.
Hopefully not up your nose.
Masks.
Yeah. But pulling it off like the back of your ears, especially on the back of your earlobes, you can see that some of this pollen has gotten sticky. Like when the water gets on it after a moment or two, it gets a little gummy in your fingers.
Good times.
Gross.
Soap it up.
I don't know if we're going to get this off. Ugh.
Doctor, you would know this. There are heating elements too in those refreshing areas that basically dry the body after it's been cleaned. Unfortunately, you're probably going to have to take your breather off to properly get completely dry, but there are worse things.
Yeah. Let's make sure that we're all helping each other. Make sure that we have nothing left. Make sure you're under these heating elements. Get as close as you can, as warm as you can. Make sure you're killing everything. Don't burn yourself, please.
Is anyone taking any specific corrective action on their suits?
No, I want to keep moving. I'm moving along and like, come on. Let's get going. We can get cleaned up on the way out. We're gonna get dirty anyway.
Yep.
Well, the problem is if this is on your skin too long, you don't know what kind of reaction it's going to have. If it tried to take us over through our lungs, my point is we do not want this sitting on our skin any longer. And if we do not want to contaminate our own ship. Do you want our ship to look like this?
She's already wandered off.
Fair enough. So you don't wander far, Rue. You wander like 15 meters around the corner, and you come to a door, which is shut. It clearly prints in print, straight across from it, says, "No admittance unless on bridge business."
So it has like a locked keypad?
Yeah, you bet.
Do I have the code to it?
Funny enough, you do.
That's what I figured I was given. So I will punch in the code.
Okay. You punch in the code, and then the door slowly begins to open. So inside, in your immediate visual range, you see dead people. There's probably 15 to 20 at first glance. They're strewn about this area in, well, not haphazard methods, but they kind of collect in here. Luckily for you, you have a rebreather on. They're lined up on beds and cots, as many as can be fitted into this area. Nima, for you, this is a very difficult moment. It's clear that many of your fellow shipmates from a previous lifetime were here, but you also know that one of your oldest friends from flight school, Zephyr, was here. And sure enough, they're amongst the bodies that you find.
Can I examine the bodies to see what they died from? Was it like food?
Well, yeah, this is clearly starvation.
Okay.
It doesn't take most of you too terribly long to mentally put together that the bridge crew and maybe the senior staff was separated from the consumables because of these plants.
Mm-hmm.
And they likely holed up in here as long as they could, hoping for some sort of salvation from the icons. You can see tiny little altars set up in certain areas. And it looks like several of the crew, those who pray to very specific ones, have collected themselves around them.
Well, let's get to work.
Yeah, I was going to say I would just move over to the main bridge console or the captain's console and start getting the information I need to get.
Okay. So it doesn't take terribly long as those of you who kind of mill about, because there isn't a ton of space. Some of these chairs here that helm, co-pilot, etc., have been retrofitted into beds, and they hold passengers in their final moments. Doctor, when you try to access the ship's data log, I'm going to have you make for me a technology roll.
Okay, do I have any of that?
Or potentially a data gen roll.
Oh, I do have that. No, I don't. I lied. So just wits then?
Yep.
Sweet.
Someone has those things.
Indeed. Gosh, it's almost as if it was for a specific reason.
Oh. Cap, if you can't get on, I'd be happy to help. I know my way in and out of ship's computers.
I got one.
Okay, yeah, you get logged into the captain's terminal here. There's a rather grisly couple of last entries that are sitting there waiting for you to read, but being far more concerned about the business at hand, you notice that the data is in, it seems to be locked in a subsection here of the computer system. And that computer system itself is down because main power is not on.
I thought we left main power on, but just turned the lights off.
Main batteries are on. Auxiliary batteries are on. But the engine itself, the main power plant, isn't. And so you have no access to that computer system because it requires main power to run.
Don't they have these things on like floppies, like 3¼ inch floppies, or a USB stick that you can just pull out?
Come on, 5¼ Dave. You know the rules.
Oh, dude, you speak my language.
I do. So you also know that someone will have to be here in the cockpit to initiate the download when it happens.
Okay.
Do I think I can't get power up from here, can I?
No, it would be very difficult. You actually need to physically turn the engines on after a power down because the circuits are actually disconnected. They're basically like fingers that pull up out of the engine core, and so they need to be put down into place before they can energize the circuit.
Gotcha.
Well, we're going to need main power in order to get the information we're going to need.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody's going to have to stay on the cockpit and initiate the download.
Yeah, so the plan I said earlier where we split up.
I had said that.
That's
Rue
the
wanted
thing we're
us
doing
together. Yeah. Yeah, the thing we mentioned at the
Now
very
we know.
beginning. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. Now we know.
So
So I will be here on the cockpit or in the captain's chair waiting to initiate the download.
well, to be fair, you're kind of slightly in the chair because the captain is in the captain's chair right now.
Oh, right.
It's fine, Cap. You stay here and take a little bit of a break. I guess me and probably Rue will go do some work.
I don't know anybody else who's going to be able to get power up.
Yep, that's fine. I will be once again expecting most valuable crew member award this month. I'll see you in a few, Cap.
Thank you.
You want me to come with you?
Yes, please.
All right, so I'm going to move the player map to mid-deck. The two of you head back down the stairs. Luckily, the two of you did all the hard work of cutting yourself a pathway. And so as you collect yourself, exit off the stairs, and Zebo, you know that if you head directly south, past whatever's in the way, you should be able to get to the engine core.
As we're heading that way, hey, Rue, don't you think it's a little strange that we're just, here to recover this data? That's the most important part of this. Like, it doesn't seem like they really care about the people here, or does he just feel like the right thing to you?
Well, the icons certainly move in mysterious ways, but I say that this ship is definitely cursed, and I'll do whatever we need to get off of here as quickly as possible. I think that the idea that we are trying to prevent other people from trying to colonize this seems like the right thing, but what else? What are you thinking about?
I was just wondering what this data that we're collecting is going to be used for. It seems like, they would know without it not to do that.
Yeah, I don't know, she says and squints her eyes like, I don't know whether she's suspicious at all, but
yeah, just a thought. Let's get we gotta get that data. Whoever wants it.
So the two of you continue south, yes?
Yeah.
You get to a point down here past the labs through this really thick vegetation that's here. And you can see that it, much like the stairway in this section, this is thick enough to where it's almost like vines have, they've grown into one another and created a section of the hallway that is a barrier in and of itself. And so either by sledge or by knife, you'll have to find a way to cut through this.
Well, how convenient. I have a sledge.
yeah, I don't know what works better. I mean, I can't imagine the knife is very effective except for like tactically.
It's not, and that's the tough part. And you can also see that after all the cutting that you did previously to get up the stairs, that your knife is a little gummy and like almost pitted.
Should never take a knife to a sledge fight.
So you start banging away, Zebo, on this vine, just trying to push your way deeper and deeper into the guts of this ship. And as you do, the vines here begin to respond. They begin to move.
Uh-huh.
Something's happening here. It's like the vines are trying to stop me from getting through.
Uh-huh.
I should say, the vines themselves begin to push outward as if they're trying to brace against your blows. And you see a section of the vines open. Just like a curtain gets pulled aside. And inside of it, there's this massive purple blossom.
Gross.
Shit. I shoot it. I don't think that's going to help, but I do.
And so when you do see it and shoot it, what we want to do is roll initiative, because that's always fun. So it's just a d6, and then anything weaponry-wise, or especially in Rue's case, skill-wise, that might give them a higher initiative.
Yeah, Rue's, she's already combat veteran, so she rolled 2 dice, but she rolled 2 6s.
She does.
Nice.
So, got a 6.
3 for Zebo.
Excellent.
I mean, if she feels like, well, we'll wait to see how things turn out, but if she feels like she's actually, if her pulse rifle, her carbine actually has an effect, she's just going to let loose.
So yeah, you will end up going first. You're fairly certain that given the fact that this plant has revealed an inner core to itself, you're probably way safer feeling with the rifle.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to roll all the dice. Ooh, that's a crit. I got 3.
Very nice. So you do exactly what training has always told you to do. And that is when an enemy offers a point of attack as an opening, you seize on it immediately. Because your intention is to end the battle as quickly and as effectively as possible. And so you let the rifle rip. So it does 3 damage and on a crit. So let's see. Let's check the table really quickly. So there's a crit table in Coriolis that is fantastic. Dave, if you would, for Rue, go ahead and roll me a D66, please.
Yeah.
So a D66 is just 2D6 read as a tens.
62.
Zebo, you watch in likely a bit of shock for a moment as your partner Rue begins to dismantle several of the large petals on this plant, creature, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as the fire from the rifle impacts the creature, you begin to see bits of what look like mouth suckers or teeth peel off this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a gurgle and roar from inside the vines.
It's alive, man. That's not a plant. That's something else.
It's your action, Zebo.
I want to power sledge it.
Yep.
It's I'm a one-trick pony with this power sledge, so it's I'm using what I got. No successes.
Okay. Yeah, you swing. There's a big whoosh behind the hammer. You impact the sides of the vines.
I was gonna save this for later at a more plot-heavy area, but I really feel like taking this. I hate this plant.
Oh, okay then.
So the gambler, the talent I get from the gambler, allows me to treat a roll as if I got 3 6s.
I see.
And I this plant's really freaking me out. So I will call upon the gambler to make my failure a success.
You tip the roulette wheel, or the poker hand, as it were, in your favor. And instead of being forced to accept a losing hand, you redouble your efforts and use the momentum of that first swing into the second. And you plant the sledge down onto this creature's petals. So that sledge does 4 and is a crit. I would like you as well to roll a D66.
Okay. My D66, I got a 42.
When you come down on this thing, you crush the rest of this petal's head. And there is a sickening and yet satisfying crunch, a totality of the sledge as it falls. And the burble goes completely silent, oozing out its vegetable and plant fluids.
Come on, let's get going. Hurry.
The two of you continue on past this nasty little creature and find yourselves at the door to the engine bay, which isn't terribly hard to open. It's really just a tap of the button, and you get deeper in. Now, When the door opens, there are several, or at least two that you see directly to the left and the right. There are little defensive mechanisms, these turrets that spin up. And you recognize them immediately, Zebo. You know many a different engineer who have booby-trapped their engine bays.
Mm-hmm.
And they immediately track you as you enter.
Great.
But they don't fire.
Okay.
They kind of hold and
Good.
they pen.
Maybe it recognizes the difference between human and plant.
You hear a voice overhead that says,
"Identify yourself."
It's a very robotic voice.
Yes. My name is Zebo of the Kraken, engineer of the Kraken. Who are you?
We're all fine here, thanks. How are you? Is
Right.
there a standard security protocol that I can spit out?
Yeah. So, Rue, you'd know that basically both of you would know a little bit too. You basically just need to identify yourself and let the ship know what ship you're a part of, right? So for Zebo's part, as far as an engineer goes, if the ship was set down on the planet, it has likely been set to basically ensure that someone from Coriolis is here to retake the ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's waiting to hear like guild information, or it's waiting to hear faction. It wants to hear that you're a part of a specific faction.
Yeah.
Zebo, do you do that?
Yes. I was trying to find on my sheet what that would be. Zebo will just start just naming off things about himself.
Begin a long oratory into who you are as a person.
Yes.
So basically what you explain is that you're a guild engineer from a ship sent from the Coriolis to salvage or to repair the vessel. The somewhat intelligent voice replies,
Any potential salvagers should be careful. The ship has come under a distressing attack.
We are aware. The only thing we will be salvaging here is data.
So Zebo, you know to your right down this hallway here is likely where the main engine bay is. The actual physical portions of the engine.
Once I know that that this is not a threat, then I will just be taking off, heading that way.
Okay. And then Rue, for your part, you do see the turrets continue to track the space outside the door.
Right, watching behind us. Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll close the door behind us if we can.
Okay. Yeah, close the door. In your space here, Zebo, you see these 4 large kind of cylindrical globes that need to be pressed into place. And so that's a technology roll.
Alrighty. That is 2 successes.
Okay. You begin resetting and preparing these power centers to have completed circuits. As you do, I would like Rue to give me an observation roll.
Okay. She's a bit distracted right now.
So as Zebo's doing their work in the engine, you do notice a little bit that definitely something's happening. You can hear a rumble in the ship, pretty deep. It's kind of feels like the ship is, something's happening. Deck plates are rumbling under your feet.
Is that a response to what Zebo did?
It's possible.
Okay.
Zebo is a little out of your vision at this point because they're working in the engine bay directly.
Yeah, I'll step down and sort of like, see if I can see both into that room and down the hallway so I can cover it. But
okay. Zebo, you begin the final portion before you lock the circuits into place. And as you do, I will give you an observation roll as well.
Yep. So since I don't have observation, that's just wits then?
Correct.
Cool. Still pretty good. 2 successes.
Okay. You fit the last of the circuits in place. And as you do, the deck plate under your feet cracks. So the deck plates under your feet start cracking. And now that main power is set to come back online, the ship is shaking. And those of you in the cockpit area also begin to feel the faintest of shaking in the ship.
Then I'm gonna keep checking to see when I can start the download so we can get out of here.
Yep, you check it again as the rumbling starts and look, the main power green light comes on. As you do, everything in the cockpit starts glowing again. All the lights come back up, and it really gives a somewhat macabre scene here as lights twinkle and buttons kind of almost react to the dead flesh that has been strewn across them by the bodies of the former colony ship.
I'm just going to try and ignore that. We need our payday. Let's get out.
All right, so you begin the downloading process. It looks like it's going to take probably about 2 minutes, maybe 3, unless someone can speed it up.
I'm going to radio down to Rue and Zebo. Can you guys give me 2 minutes and then we're out?
No problem. We got some problems down here, though. The floor's breaking up.
Do you need to be there anymore?
Nope.
Get out.
God.
So Rue and Zebo, you guys return to the main hallway here just to begin your exit. And you see all along this main hallway back up towards the stairway that leads up both up to the upper deck and then down to the cargo deck. The deck plates here are splitting as large, thick, ropey vines begin pushing their way up through the ship.
As much as possible, I'd like to run past and like try to dodge around them.
Sure.
As we're going, and I would say make for an exit and hope the captain and the pilot can make it out on their own.
Okay, so it's an agility roll, or it is an agility dexterity roll if you have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is success required. This is for what the both of you would pretty quickly realize is that there is a catastrophic breaking of the ship that's happening.
She's shouting in the comms. Gotta get out of here.
I passed.
I'm counting down the seconds as fast as we can.
1 success.
Nima, what are you doing up there with the captain?
Well, I'm going to wait until the download is about halfway done, and then I'm going to book it out of the ship so I can start getting stuff on our ship ready to go.
Very good. That is an interesting idea. Okay. Doctor, you get to about 50% of the download, and when you do, you just passively look around the cockpit because you need something else to stare at other than the completion bar, and you see Nima bolt out.
Where are you going?
I'm going to go get our ship ready to go.
Okay. Good call.
Back down on middeck, the two escapees have made it back past the nasty mess that purple flower caused, and they are back to the stairway. Are you going left then to go back down to the cargo deck to get out?
Yes.
All right. So as you two do, you see Nima basically slide down the railing from the upper deck, and Dr. Wana is nowhere in sight.
Where's the doctor?
Doctor's finishing the download. I'm going back to the ship to get us ready to go.
The two you get out of here, and then she'll head back up to the bridge. This doctor's killing me.
So I will not accost the two of you who are exiting.
All right.
Rue, you charge back into the cockpit area, and you see the eager hands of Dr. Wana waiting on this data to finally go. And you see the floor plates in here are now started to exhibit that same cracking as before.
We go now, and she'll run and grab her.
So you run in to grab her, and I want you to make an observation roll before you do.
1 success.
You see a logo on the screen of this colony ship. It's a very familiar logo to you. It's a Zenithian logo.
Oh.
And underneath of it, it says top secret.
Uh-huh. I will grab her without letting her grab her stuff, and I will pull her. We go now or you die.
We're not going yet.
This seems like conflict to me.
It is conflict.
I mean, if she's truly going to fight me, I'm having seen what I've seen. Like if I grab for you and her and she pushes me back, I'll stand and give her one stare. And then I'll, sort of looking her in the eyes, and I'll say, "The icons damn you." And then she'll turn and leave.
Okay.
How much longer do I have?
You probably have another 30 seconds or so.
Okay.
Rue takes off down the hall. The vines continue to writhe and break through the deck plates here. Those of you who are outside the ship, for Zebo and Nima, the two of you get back to the Kraken, and you can see that the planet itself is seemingly beginning to chew the underside of this colony ship.
Get her fired up, Nima. We got to get out of here.
Oh yeah, already on it.
I'm going to make a short prayer to the dancer and hope that I can make it 30 seconds to get out of here.
Okay. Rue, you get back out into the cargo deck, and oddly enough, the cargo bay door is open. And it's not open because someone opened it. It is open because the planetary vegetation has begun consuming it.
Wow. Can she jump through it and get to the ground, or is it?
It would be a faster travel to the ground, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'm all for jumping.
Okay. You have more than enough strength and agility to pull it off. So you fasten your rifle a little bit tighter to you, and you kind of pace for just a moment to see the distance, and then hustle and jump through the yawning opening, landing hard and into a roll on the surface before locking eyes with the Kraken and heading that way. So that leaves Dr. Wana. Doctor, the upload completes. You get a very almost sarcastic message from the logo displayed on the screen, thanking you for your service to the bloodline. And you have what you need now.
I will get up and I will start hustling my ass out.
Okay. I am going to need, I should say, from the doctor, I will need her to make me a agility roll, as you don't have dexterity.
No, I do not. That is none.
Okay. Would you care to call for the intercession of your dancer icon?
I would, very much so.
All right. Then go right ahead.
I was just looking at what the special is. I think it's something like you can dodge and not take damage.
Yeah, you can dodge and not take any damage.
All right. So what am I rolling? Just one more D6 then?
Yeah, basically.
Roll everything again plus one, or just roll it all
I think
again?
that's it, yes.
Yeah, that's still nothing.
Okay. So you slide down the stairway into the railing onto the mid deck. And as you head for the cargo deck, you notice that the stairs have been eaten away. They're disintegrated. You do your best to stop yourself before you go too far forward. But unfortunately, the slickness of the vegetation that's left here pitches you ass over tea kettle. And you fall into the vegetation and then eventually down into the cargo deck, slamming hard against the vegetation floor.
Okay.
And I am going to deal you a D66 critical damage. All right, so you break your nose. You can feel it even before you get back up. Your brain and eyes fill with all sorts of buzzing and stars. The blood clogs your rebreather, and you are forced to pull it off or choke on your own blood.
I'll have to, spit it out and try and get my rebreather back on.
You're an awful, awful mess. Nima, give me a piloting roll to have the ship prepared at this point.
3 successes.
Very good. Doctor, you exit out the last vestiges of the Periphery as it is slowly and inexorably chewed and swallowed into the crust of the earth here. Whatever came for the Periphery, whatever tried to consume you, needs to be avoided at all cost. And so battered and bloodied, but yet with your very much required payment to your benefactors, you board or attempt to board the Kraken. My question is, Nima, are you waiting for your captain?
I'll wait until the very last second. If she's not here when my instincts tell me we're in danger, I'm going without her.
Very well. So you do see her form come out and run to the ship. And as she gets onto the plank, you can feel the Kraken begin to get pulled lower.
Zebo would probably also be encouraging Nima to leave because Zebo doesn't want this data to get in the wrong hands.
Understood. All right. So I want 2 rolls. One, I want a piloting roll, and I want the doctor to make me an agility roll to grab on to her own ship before it leaves without her.
3 successes.
Yeah, I got nothing. So
All right. So you simply don't have any time. I guess the last final question I have for the pilot is this. 3 successes is a critical. So my question to you is, barring anybody's outside opinion, does the pilot want the doctor to survive or not?
Like, I always think that she is smart, right? But I don't think that she always knows what's best for the greater, not good, but just the best for the most people concerned. I'm not waiting. We're getting out of here.
You take off. Doctor, as the ship climbs into the air, you are tripped by the very gangplank that goes up your gangplank, or what used to be your gangplank.
yeah, it's not going to be my ship anymore.
Not anymore.
Wait until people come claim it.
It flies higher and higher, and as the Kraken rises into the air and the crew, the remaining crew, reach the atmosphere, you are swallowed in an all-embracing way that only a planet could do. And that is the conclusion of Ship on the Edge of Forever, brought to you by the Old Ways Podcast. I hope everyone here has greatly enjoyed the games, and hopefully we'll get a chance to play Coriolis in the future. Perhaps not with these exact characters, because they have some troubling things to work out, at least in the immediate future.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are cold-blooded.
That was great.
Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all for joining us. We appreciate it.